Hey everybody, it's Garen from Whiskey Savages coming to you here on YouTube with our latest review video. It's been a minute since we've been on here. We ran into some technical difficulties. We filmed a bunch of different videos with some friends of ours. That was some of the feedback that we got, was people wanted to see faces other than my own. But both the cards that we used to film those videos ended up being corrupted and none of the footage was usable. So I'm gonna film a solo video now and then hopefully get those guys back on and redo those reviews. So here we are on a beautiful sunny day here in Ontario. It's almost 15 degrees. You can tell as the sun is washing out my skin here in the basement. This is gonna be a little bit of a shorter video. We are reviewing this bottle. So this is the Balvenie 14-year-old Caribbean cask. There we go. You can tell it's almost empty. I've had this bottle for a couple years. If you're not gonna stick around to the end of this video, I'll tell you right now, this is an average to below average whiskey for a well above average price. So based on that, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're looking at something like this, I wouldn't recommend it. But stay to the end of the video and we compare it to a more affordable bottle that I would say is comparable. It's not going to be as good, but comparable to this Balvenie. So this is a 14-year-old finished in X rum cask. It's bottled at a 43% ABV. I got this a couple years ago as I was first getting into whiskey. I think I was suckered into the name Balvenie, how popular it was. Everybody recommended it as like a good starter whiskey. The rum cask sort of appealed to me because it wasn't gonna have any of those really like smoky, peaty flavors. So I thought it would be a good introduction into whiskey. I only paid $99 for this, which was a good deal at the time even. This bottle now is going for, in Ontario, $199 plus tax, so it's gonna put you over $200. And even out west, it's going to be around $159 to $155. So pretty expensive for this bottle, I'm going to be honest. So it's a Speyside. I have it poured out here. I'm moved on from the Glenlivets. Thank you to Bobby from Southern Ontario Sippers. I don't know if you can see this. He got me this really nice Highland glass etched with our logo and name on it. So this is what I'm using for my tastings now. Going back to it, I did compare this with a Glenlivet a little bit earlier. This makes a big difference. I thought like the Highland glass, I have some Norlands, I bought some other different glasses, did it make that much of a difference? This makes a huge, huge difference, especially I find on the nose. This opens it up a little bit more than the Glenlivet, but if it's a weak whiskey, which this is, you find that there's not much on the nose, unfortunately. The smell of this is overwhelmingly sweet. So I have my notes here, tons of vanilla, caramel, fruits. So you'll get a little bit of pineapple, you're gonna get some mango, other types of citrus, a little bit. So this started off in oak barrels and then finished for who knows how long in some rum casks. So a little bit of woodiness, but not very much. It's basically you're running into the sweetness, and that's why this appealed to me and why I bought it in the first place, because I thought, well, if I'm not a big fan of the peat or the smoke yet, this is something that I can get into. But other than that, there's really not that much going on here, to be honest, unfortunately. The taste is much the same. So I find this really one-dimensional. Still finding that vanilla, still some mangoes, some orange, definitely a good amount of apple. I didn't find that on the nose, but I find that here on the palate, a good amount of apple. And one thing that's kind of interesting, it's a little bit creamy. It's a little bit creamy on the nose. It's a little bit creamy on the palate. If you've ever tried like real maple syrup, not Aunt Jemima, not stuff that you can buy in a tin, like somebody has tapped the tree, boiled it down and given it to you, this has a little bit of that kind of light maple syrupy, woodiness, a little bit of like that burnt woodiness from being over a fire or being, you know, cooked down in like an iron pot. A little bit of that. That's a very, very Canadian review that you might not be able to relate to, but kind of disappointing in the fact the flavors disappear really, really fast on this. The nose disappears fast, the flavors disappear fast. The finish is, I'm basically getting three things. It's vanilla, it's coconut, and it's oak. That's kind of it. There's no peat, you know, no smoke. It is a Speyside. So if you like that type of flavors, those types of smells, you're not gonna get any of that here. It is an easy drinking whiskey. This is something that when I have somebody over, you can tell it's almost empty. This is almost exclusively what I would offer somebody. If they weren't big whiskey people, it was this bottle that I would open, and people tend to like it, especially if they like sweeter flavors or they like bourbons or they like mixed drinks. I know people will use this in a mixed drink. I've never done that. I don't add water to this. I did it a few times adding water and it thinned it right out and it was no good. So this was my first experience with Balvenie. Like I said, I think I was kind of a sucker for the name, for the novelty of a rum cask. It's a good looking bottle. They're really easily recognizable. People always have some sort of Balvenie in their bar, whether it be this or the double wood. So it's just okay. Like if I were gonna say something, it's just okay. If I were to rate this, like I said at the beginning, this is an average for me now. This was an average whiskey. When I first had it, I thought like this was incredible. I was telling everybody about it, how great it was. I wanted everybody to try it. As things have progressed and my tastes have progressed and I've tried a bunch of different things, I've come to realize, or maybe I've just changed a little bit, it's not that good. You know, if I went back a couple years, I would have rated it maybe like a 7 or an 8. Whereas now I'm landing somewhere in the 5 to 6 range. What knocks it down far is the price. $199 is outrageous for this bottle here in Ontario. There's so many things that you can buy for $199. You could get 2 really good bottles. Well, not really good. 2 average bottles for $199 if you can really source it out. So based on that, this would not be a recommendation for me. On the money, it is widely available, but I think it's sitting on shelves because it's so stinking expensive. If you are interested in a rum cask, something that is comparable would be the Glenlivet Caribbean Reserve. So it's a no age statement. It is a rum cask whiskey. It's considerably cheaper. You can find it anywhere between $60 to $70. So it's not as good. I will be upfront about that. It's not as good as this one. You can tell this 14-year-old has a little bit more depth, complexity, a little bit more flavor to it. It's bottled at 43%. The Glenlivet Reserve is bottled at a 40%. So it is a little bit weaker, but to be honest, for the money, the flavors are the same. The experience will just be minutely different. So if you don't want to spend almost $200 or $155 on this bottle, I would say comparable. I would get the Glenlivet Caribbean Reserve. We had it at one of our blind tasting events, and people really seemed to like it. It was paired with really good food, and it was a really decent experience. So there we go. This is just a quick one to get us back on the radar, get us back on YouTube, shooting some videos. We love the feedback that you guys have given us. We're trying super hard to make this interesting and different. It's too bad that the other stuff got corrupted because it was pretty fun filming with these 2 friends of ours, Josh and Thomas. So hopefully we'll be able to get everybody back together. So Like, share, subscribe down below, comment on what your thoughts of this, if you've had it, if you'd like to try it, if you think it's worth it. We appreciate any support or any feedback that you give us. And that brings the end to our video. So this is Garen from Whiskey Savages, and we'll see you soon.